Going live. We are live. Welcome. Welcome. It is Moon Day. Let's go ahead and send this to all interested parties like subscribers and so on and so forth. This week, this whole month should be interesting. We're starting Pisces season today, and we're definitely going to talk about it. Welcome, whoever is here. Please let me know who you are. I'm so excited that you have joined me. It is Moon Day, our favorite day of the week. Why? Because today, and I've been doing this now for over 4 years. I just realized that my son is about to turn 5. And when he was born, I had already been doing this for like 3 years. So that means that it's been more like 8 or practically at least 6 years of me doing this, which is, hello, Peter, welcome. Which is even when I was working, okay, even when I was working in an industry that is 24/7, like real estate, right? Because just imagine working in real estate with clients when it's my bedtime, it's not their bedtime, right? So real estate is 24/7. You don't have to work commercial or, executive or luxury real estate to be busy all the time. In fact, you might be busier working just, your middle class first family homes, so on and so forth. So anyway, the point is that even when I was working 7 days a week, for a very long time every day, I still tried to plan my week in a way that would allow me to have the most, what's the word, on purpose relaxation during the weekend and then do most of the work during the week, right? So, for example, if it wasn't urgent, I wouldn't return an email until Monday, right? Like if your email from Friday is not urgent, if it's not time, I'll give you an example. When a client emails you something that has to do with a title company, right? The company that handles the documentation of the sale of a house. If a client emails something about a title company, which is out of my control, it's a third party, on Friday, and title companies don't work during the weekend. So I have to wait until Monday to find out, or we have to wait until Monday to get an answer. You best believe I'm going to wait until Monday to even inquire about whatever it is that you're inquiring, right? I'm not going to send an email to someone Friday night when I know they're done working until Monday. All of that to say, this whole thing of me planning my week on Mondays has been happening, for a very long time. And so this is why it's my favorite day, because I spent all weekend not thinking about the astrology of the week, even though I've already done a year ahead, right? I try very hard to set personal boundaries of, I'm going to wait until Monday to review the astrology of the week. Can I do it Saturday? Can I do it Sunday? Absolutely. But am I going to do it? No, because I have already committed myself to this boundary of I don't even touch my computer during the weekends. I literally have only one client whom I see during the weekends. So if anybody else, reaches out or whatever, then you might wait until Monday for an email reply, right? Or a voicemail reply, so on and so forth. And so here we are. It's Moon Day. Happy Moon Day, Peter, and everyone else. If you're watching on the replay, I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining, subscribing, sharing, and for being here. My name is Graciela Moore. I am an ICF certified personal coach. I have been entertaining and creating content, honestly, my whole life. And when I decided to put this content out there, it was because I needed to simplify my life because of personal, familial, special needs kinds of reasons. And so I was creating content about all these other things. And I decided to stop creating content about extra stuff for the benefit of others, right? The audience, you. And I decided to merge into my content something that is very personal to me, which is, oh, excuse me, quiet. Ooh. Pepper Jack, please. I actually started this and only now realized the dogs are in my room. So yeah, that's cool. Anyway, so yeah, astrology is very personal. I was, I don't know, 14 is the earliest I can remember, even though I have journals of when I was 13 talking about Taurus and the moon and whatever. But when I was 14, I do remember having a conversation with my dad where he's telling me that I should be more informed about the world. And he's encouraging me to flip the newspaper, which he always did every day, right? And I was like, gross, my hands are going to get black, first of all. So I'm not touching that. And second of all, I'm only interested in the horoscope section. And so this thing with horoscopes or the moon, it's just always been there. And so 2022 was the year that I had to question, if I'm going to create content, then what is it going to be about? Because I really don't have the time anymore to create content like I was doing. I'm telling you, I was creating content every day for about 2 to 3 hours, not because of endless ideas, but because of a process, right? Because of series or because of, continuations and so on. Now there's a bug in here. Oh my gosh. It's one of those. So anyway, Monday is the best day for me. I love planning my week on Monday. I literally opened my week today and it was blank. I normally, this stays blank because all of my appointments are in my Google Calendar. So on Monday, I open my Google Calendar and I say, what's happening this week? Let me write it down, right? Honestly, writing it down helps me remember. Writing it down helps me just keep track of the things. I'm very visual, that kind of photographic memory where if I see it in my handwriting in my book, I'm going to remember it and then I'm going to show up, right? And so I'm talking, this slot right here that's every day at the same time. That's homeschooling from 10 to 12. My son is only 4. Sometimes I don't need 2 hours to give him a homeschool lesson. Sometimes I don't do a homeschool lesson because he's not even in preschool. You know what I mean? But we do our thing every day at the same time. And so it's all time blocked. And, last year I was very active on a book club and that was always on my schedule. Coaching appointments are definitely on the schedule. My own coaching and therapy is always on the schedule, so on and so forth. So here we are. I hope that you have planned your week. And of course, by the end of it, I hope it's a successful one, whatever success looks like and means to you. Now, shall we begin? We have lots to talk about because it is day 1 of Pisces season. So happy birthday if you are a Pisces. It's my husband's birthday this week. My sister is a Pisces. One of my besties is a Pisces. Who else? I don't think I have anyone in my immediate circle that's a Pisces other than those people I just mentioned. But Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So if you don't know, back in the day, way back in the day, I'm talking a long time ago, the calendar didn't really start where it starts today. The Gregorian calendar is modern. It was, do we say man-made? I guess. They're all man-made, but still, it's more modern than ancient calendars, right? Like the Aztec calendar, so on and so forth. But these ancient calendars really began with the spring equinox. And with that said, that means that the first sign of the zodiac would be Aries, right? Happening a month from now. And then you go down the list of all 12 zodiac signs, and then you end up in Pisces, which is the last one. So there's a lot of context that comes from being the last chapter, if you will. Now, I know it's only February, so in the Gregorian calendar, we're still in that mindset of the year is just starting. The year still has so many possibilities, but when you flip it to this ancient calendar, we can call it lunar calendar, we can call it astrological calendar. I'm sure there's a name for it that's not coming right now, but whatever. If you change it and think about the fact that this is the end of the year, this whole month is the end of a year. then how does that shift your mindset when looking at all the things that have transpired in the last maybe 3 to 6 months, which would be the last 3 to 6 months of a year? Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, because I don't really explain it like this often. And sometimes I wonder if, I don't know, if I'm talking in riddles, right? Because I don't mean to. But it's two different mindsets. And with two different mindsets come two different experiences. There's the experience of, oh, I have all the time in the world to work on my goals and to work on my ambitions because it's the beginning of the year. And then there's the mindset of, oh my gosh, this has been really rough, or this month will be rough, and I'm weary of the lessons that it will bring, much like an end of the year type of vibe. And I'm just looking forward to it, for it to be over, end of year kind of vibe. Or, you know, I'm just in this loop of constant drama that I'm trying to escape. Well, that sounds like the end of a cycle, waiting for something to ignite. Aries is a fire sign, to ignite something new, to ignite something better, right? We all have our views on what we want, right? Coming to us. Is it bigger? Is it better? I've written essays about how we all want the ultra, the bigger and better, right? And so here we are. Now, one of you on TikTok just replied today, and I'm so grateful for you. And thank you for following me. I followed you back instantly. But their comment was about how Pisces season is always very dreadful for them because it's a lot of drama. And we went back and forth. You can go back to my page on TikTok and check it out at somecoaching.tt. And I'm explaining to her, she brought up where Pisces is in her chart and how it shows up for her. So that gives me a lot of context as to Pisces season might be just uncomfortable. But in the end, in a more general sense, this is the end of a cycle. And with the end of a cycle come the tying of loose ends, even if it's uncomfortable, or the reminder of harsh lessons that kind of pop up again because you haven't learned them, or issues with trust. Sorry, I just drooled on myself. So clearly, issues with trust is a big one for me. I'm kidding. Um, Issues with trust also came up in this conversation, right? Because Pisces is, when we talk about water signs, right? Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. If Cancer is the surface, if Cancer is the little wave that you see and how it comes and goes and washes on the surface, on the shore, and then retrieves and so on and so forth. If Cancer is that constant wave of emotion, and Scorpio is the deep end of the pool where you scrape all the crap to kind of make it new and shiny again, then Pisces is the center, the depth of that water, the everything that comes with being in the middle, right? The intensity, the ruckus, the heaviness, right? Think of yourself inside of a pool when you're floating. There's a heaviness to you that keeps you there and you don't just float up, right? And so Pisces is incredibly intuitive. In my research, I've heard it be called the most intuitive of the signs. We've talked about how when the moon is in Pisces, you may get vivid dreams more often than not. When the moon is in Pisces is a great time to do divination. If you do divination, if you don't know what divination is, the people in the esoteric world consider divination when you look through a deck of cards, or when you throw bones and read them, or when you read into something. But really, divination is any time that you purposefully use any tool to connect to spirit, including the Bible. So if you're looking through your Bible like this, what's my message for me today? What's my message? And then you open, and the first verse that you see is the one that you read for that day. And then you take it in and you analyze your day from that verse. That's divination. That's you purposefully putting your tools at work to connect with the divine, whatever the divine is for you, right? And so the moon in Pisces brings up all of this. Now, the reason why I mentioned self trust is because this came up with this person in the comments. And as a survivor, right, of, I don't want to say many because that's just sad, but different types of, right, violence. As a survivor, period, self trust is a big deal because when you've been gaslit, when you have been purposefully confused by someone else, when you have been purposefully made to feel like you're in the wrong, even though your intuition says so many other things, then it's hard to trust your gut. It's hard to trust yourself once you move out of that situation or you move forward with your life. And Pisces being so intuitive and so deep may stir up a lot of those past issues. So we've talked a lot here in the span of 2 seasons and 8 episodes of the third season. So this is year 3 that we're here. Um, we've talked a lot about my trauma and some of the things I've been through. And so the way that some seasons show me some of my own trauma and some of my own issues, we've talked about how for me it all comes in flashbacks and it comes in realizations of, oh, maybe this is why that happened, or maybe this is what happened. And of course, I do a lot of rumination. I struggle with ruminating. I struggle with negative self talk. I struggle with um, just really trusting that what comes in is really the reality um, of what's happening in front of me. I hope that makes sense. And so, all of that to say, I feel like I've been rambling for 20 minutes, but I do have a point. All of that to say, we may have a very challenging month ahead. Today is day 1 of Pisces season. The sun transitioned into Pisces overnight. And so, with this day 1, on a moon day. I love that. We have an opportunity to really address whether what comes up during the next month is just drama. Like, I'm just going to put my blinders on and go la, 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 because you're drama and I'm avoiding it. And no, thank you, go away. Or is it an opportunity for growth? Which, as a life coach, I would say all drama is an opportunity for growth. All of life is an opportunity for growth, right? The teacher is everywhere. But as a human being, I don't want any drama. Like, who has the time? Not me, right? Like, I have plenty of drama already, right? And so that's a mindset shift. If you're going to look at something and completely avoid it, and sometimes you don't even avoid it, sometimes you run away from it in the opposite direction and it chases you and you lock yourself in the closet and it's banging on the door, right? Like some drama is at our step. Are you going to just ignore it? And I guarantee whatever drama ensues in the next month will not be as dramatic when Aries rolls around and burns, right? It's a fire sign, burns all of it or just allows you to pivot, right? Aries is the first sign. It's a fire sign. So it kind of, it denotes ignition, the start of something. It's the start of a brand new year. It's that tiny little spark that sets the whole machine on, to be on. And so before we get into the week, my hope is that this month will bring us clarity. It will bring us insight, right? There's that intuition happening. I'm hoping that whatever dreams we wake up from are not necessarily cozy and warm, because I know from experience how stressful dreams can be. But I'm hoping whatever vivid dreams we have this month during Pisces season are helpful. Definitely keep a journal by your bed. I always do. I don't always use it, but I do try to keep track of my moon in Pisces type of visions or dreams. And so this is the season for that. So if you've never done that, that's something for you to experiment with. And I will keep, bringing this up because it's a whole month of it. So let's talk about the moon. Yay, let's talk about the week ahead. I can't believe I just took 23 minutes of your life talking about the moon in Pisces. Pisces season, but it's a big deal and we don't talk about it enough because it's February, but in reality, it's the end of a cycle. And so if you feel like you just want to rot, if you feel like you're ready for something new, if you feel like you're ready for something to start, then you're right on track. And then the question becomes, how can you, or what can you do to trust that you are on track? What is some evidence that you can gather along the way to say, there's proof that I am on track, right? This makes me feel like I'm doing something right. And then you move on with your day. Or you see some drama and you're like, I'm not just going to evade it. Let me just see what's here. Let me see what's here for me to learn or to grow through or from. So there's two ways, right? Those are two different things. You can either grow through a drama that you're actively engaged in, or you're going to grow from something because it happened suddenly and now life changes, right? So this month could be very intense, or it could be extremely gratifying in the sense that a lot of clarity was presented. And that allows you to then keep moving for that Aries season to arrive and to ignite that fire so that you can move on with other goals. Now, let's not forget that previous goals are taking shape and form as we speak. So sometimes, for example, when the moon is in Aries, we tend to get really creative. Sorry, I'm looking for AstroSeek, my trusty moon phase website. So sometimes the moon in Aries can make us feel very like a firecracker, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, let's do this, or oh my gosh, yeah, let's do that. Like in the mood for something new, in the mood to just start something. Some people are in the mood to start drama. And so my hope is that we will gather enough information this next month to really tie those loose ends from the previous year in a way that allows us to not make the same mistakes in the new year, starting with the spring equinox, if you want to call it a new year. And so that is my hope for all of us. I'm turning 39 this year, and there were a lot of years that I have logged on my journals where I repeated the same mistakes over and over and over and over. And I always wondered, why me? Right? And I always wondered, like, what am I doing freaking wrong? I thought this time it would be different, and it's not. And it wasn't until I really started to look at my life and really answer that question, what am I doing wrong? And sometimes we don't know that what we're doing is wrong or wrong for us or wrong for someone else. There's like a lot of baggage that comes from words like good, bad, right, or wrong, right? But what I learned with my certification is how to shift or transform things. And so I no longer ask, what am I doing wrong? Now I ask, what is it that doesn't feel right about this situation? And it's not necessarily because I want to lead with my feelings. I am a Cancer moon, though. So it's almost like I always lead with my feelings, but it's not like I want to lead with my feelings all the time. It's about the fact that if I trust myself and if I've done the work to be able to rely on my gut, then I can look at a situation and say, this doesn't feel right. Where doesn't it feel right in my body? And what does that tell me about it? And then tap into myself and tap into that intuition. So in the end, it's all for our growth and it's all for our greater good. So even if it sucks, I guarantee it will all make sense someday. um, maybe not right away, but it will be a beautiful season. I live in the Sunshine State, and today we found um, two ladybugs, one dragonfly, several bees. So spring is coming, and we just have a few more weeks before it's really here, like officially on the calendar, right? And so, with that said, let's take care of all that is just still percolating, still kind of circling the drain. Let's go ahead and take whatever step needs to be taken so that you can really finalize those things. And I guarantee that come spring, it will be a fresh start, but it will just not be a fresh start if it's muddy and murky with things that you keep dragging. So, you know what? I feel like this is all a big download, and whoever is listening and this resonates, then this is for you because I was not planning on talking about any of this. Peter says a fresh start sounds so good. Well, here's the thing, Peter. We have a fresh start every day. So, what kind of fresh start do you need, and how can you bring it about? Right? We do a lot of journaling here. We do a lot of pondering. We do a lot of conversating. And so, wait, is that a word? Oh my gosh, conversating. Okay. You let me know, Peter. So, we have a full moon this week. We have a full moon in Virgo, and Virgo is an earth sign. So, we're going to talk about it because not only is it the end of a cycle, obviously, it's a full moon. So, that's the end of a cycle. Let's not forget that this full moon is the end of not just the new moon that happened 2 weeks ago. It's the full moon that ends or that started with the previous new moon, right? A month ago. So let's just keep that in mind. But the full moon in Virgo is great because Virgo is an earth sign. And even though there's a lot of water in the next few weeks, right? A lot of emotions, intuition, just psychology, if you will. Happening, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus kind of save the day because they're earth signs. So they allowed for whatever is happening in here to kind of be grounded. They are a reminder for you to ground yourself. They sometimes push you to ground yourself, right? Like getting sick and staying in bed, like because you have to, or burnout, or wanting to go somewhere, maybe out of stress, maybe because you're fleeing and having a flat tire. Now you have to stay home and really face your demons, right? So this full moon in Virgo, we have it here in the book. If you're wondering, we're following Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace 2024 Manifestation Agenda / Journal. And in this book, we follow the moon. So we have an opportunity to journal every moon day. Here we are with the moon in Cancer. This is today. And then we have the time block for all of the week. And then we have full moons and new moons with questions, affirmations, and a space for you to journal and paint. And I'll tell you all a confession. I realized this weekend, and then I never got around to it, that I have not painted for the previous moon. So I will be doing it as soon as I can. And I will, show the receipts and show you on TikTok. But here we are with the full moon. I never just leave a moon without painting it, at least black. So after this full moon, I will paint both of them, right? Like I'll just do both. But anyway, this full moon in Virgo will illuminate a lot. It's a positive moon. The aspects are great. And so I'm excited to discuss these questions. But let's start with today. Have you been in your feelings all day? Have you cried yet? Have you been moody? Have you been kind of all over the place emotionally? If so, if the answer was yes for all or at least one of those, it could be because the moon is in Cancer. Yay! So if you are a Cancer moon like myself, you might feel like you are kind of right at home on a day like today, because where when the moon, presently speaking, is in the sign where it was on the day you were born, taking taking it in the context that the moon is what reflects your emotional needs, which if you think about it, your emotional needs are everything, because you can be hungry, you can be you can be homeless. I've been homeless, so I'm going to say this. You can be homeless and still be happy or still be okay, like inside, right? And so that's your emotions. That's think of the crab we've talked about many times, and the inside of the crab. So it's the heart shell, and then the inside is really, so the outside of this crab is our physical body, and the inside, the mushy feelings, is our spiritual body, our heart, our emotions, our spirituality. And so when the moon is in Cancer, it brings up a lot. I'm talking mood swings. I'm talking deep insecurities that you thought you might have been over. I'm talking arguments, because if you're handling a person who is not in touch with their emotions or emotionally intelligent, then there's a disconnect. Um, or it may just be one of those days where you cry over silly things that normally didn't make you cry before. And honestly, I've been a Cancer moon my whole life, but I never used to cry over silly things until I became a mother. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But now I'll find myself, scrolling through freaking TikToks and finding someone who's speaking vulnerably. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they did so good. Or I'll cry because I, see myself in that, or I'll cry because I'm stressed or whatever. So, all of that to say, the next 3 days might be really raw if you, if you're going through a lot. But then the moon shifts into Leo, right? And Leo just gives us all an opportunity to shine. Leo is that crowned, um, ultimate higher self, if you will. Once you become the higher self, then you get crowned, right? And Leo wants the attention, and Leo deserves the attention because Leo has done the work. This is what I love about the signs and how they are placed. I don't know who came up with the order. Like right now, that research was done years ago, so whatever, I don't remember. But I love that a sign like Leo, who has done the work and who is now crowned, comes right after Cancer, because Cancer is the work. Cancer is, much like Pisces, the water sign that just really makes you, or drags you down into tapping into what's really there, so that you can then pivot, grow, expand, create, or be crowned with that big achievement of, I don't know, survival, thriving, creating. What is it that you're doing, right? So it's going to be in Leo Thursday and Friday. And then by Saturday, which is the full moon, and Sunday, it's going to be in Virgo. And that should kind of ground a lot of what happens this week. So, all of that to say, if you're feeling unsure about where you are right now, it's the start of a brand new season. That means the sun has shifted and it's now in Pisces. It's the beginning of a brand new week. Things might be uncertain in your life, in your love, in your job, whatever. You may feel like you've had a long year and now you're just ready for something new. Like if you are feeling everything that I've discussed in a negative way, then hold on to hope. Those that have been following me from the very start know how big I am on hope, and how hope really just jump started my coaching career. I started coaching with a series on hope with a group of 25 adults on group coaching. And we did this series for a total of 6 weeks, and it was amazing. And so hope is really big for me in the psychological way, in the spiritual way. And so hold on to hope this week, in the sense that the moon in Cancer is going to stir up a lot. And then Leo might make you feel like, first of all, you didn't deserve it, obviously. But I think Leo sometimes also forgets that we are partially responsible for the things that happen in our life, not in the sense that, well, I didn't want to be abused. Like nobody wants to be abused. Okay, I understand that. And there in no way am I victim blaming, because that would mean that I would do that to myself, and I would never blame myself for the things that I found myself in. But I did find myself in them, and I did take several steps to get to that point. Does that make sense? And so my hope is that if this week stirs up a lot, and then Leo hopefully sheds light, it's also a fire sign, sheds light on how did I play a part? How can I pivot from this? So on and so forth. Then my hope is that the full moon in Virgo will not only illuminate a lot more as it grows into 100% illumination, right? But just ground some of those inner dialogues, if you will, ground them into, well, what am I going to take from this? That's a way to ground it. What am I going to take from this situation? Oh, I'm taking this little bit of information is what I'm taking with me. That's grounding, right? I'm going to take this whole black cloud and choose this one little drop to bring into my life. That's how you ground, right? Something. I hope that makes sense. Or I'm hoping that it will ground us in the sense of, I don't know where my plans are going today. It's only Monday. It's the beginning of a rough, very intuitive and emotional season. And, let's not forget, I haven't brought it up yet, that Mercury, Pluto, Mars, and Venus are all in Aquarius. So it seems like the universe is asking us to really innovate and to try something new so that we don't fall on the same rock. Try something different so that you don't make the same mistakes. Try something different so that you experience what it's like to feel something different. If you don't try it, if you don't give yourself the permission, if you don't actually take the step, then you'll never know. And with the context of a cycle ending, then it's an opportunity for you to look at your life, even though it's February. It's okay. It's okay. Look at your life and say, what is coming to an end? That maybe I can kind of, help push over the edge so that I can be free of it by the time spring comes and there's a new life ahead. I've said a lot. Okay. So in the book, you have a chance to say, what are you going to make sure to do this week? What are you going to create? I have to create a meditation, and that means that I have to like prime my space and make sure my child goes to bed and that nobody disturbs, right? Like there's a preparation that comes with whatever you want to make sure to create. There's no way that I would set myself to create a meditation, an audio meditation, with my dogs in the room, right? So it's like those things. This is how we prepare and how we plan things. What are you grateful for? Usually my grateful page is full of initials. Those are people. So I'm not going to say what initials are here, but there's a few of them. There's a P there. So do with that what you may. There's an M and an E and an A and a G. So if your name starts with any of those, I'm probably so grateful for you. And it also gives you an affirmation every day. So the affirmation for this week, obviously, it has to do with the waxing gibbous in Cancer. I embrace the nurturing energy of my emotions. So that's an opportunity to kind of not run away from them, not shut them down when they come up, right? Like acceptance. I grew up being shamed about my feelings. I grew up being told I was too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. And so I grew up shutting myself down when I wanted to cry, or crying in private, right? Like the person who just refuses to cry in front of anyone. I don't cry in front of anyone. Nobody will see me cry. You will never see me cry over you. Okay, that's fine. But are you going to shed a tear in private? Or are you going to bottle it down because you just don't give yourself permission to? Those are two different things, right? So I embrace the nurturing energy of my emotions because they really are nurturing. The moon in Cancer wants to nurture. The medicine is in the pain. I don't know if you've ever heard that. It's not a medical type of analogy, it's a spiritual analogy that implies that wherever the struggle is, the medicine is also there. When you go through it, grow through it and from it, and then now you got the medicine, right? I am supported by the loving embrace of the universe, and I trust that I am guided toward my higher purpose. Oof. I mean, that affirmation is just rich. Nurturing energy of my emotions, supported by the loving embrace of the universe. And I trust, which is huge. Trust is going to be huge this month. Self-trust, not trusting someone else. Self-trust. Because I feel like when other people are fumbling and when other people are acting the fool, you have to know where you are anchored so that you can trust yourself in the decisions that you're making during this process. Whether that is, I'm just going to stop you right there, or I'm going to correct, or I'm going to interject, or I'm just going to walk away. All of those decisions, right? So that's the affirmation for the week. Now let's go ahead and check out the full moon, shall we? And then we're going to do our meditation, and it's going to be a great week. So the full moon in Virgo. Let's look at what these questions are. As you know, I wrote this book last year. And if we're in the beginning of the book, that means that I wrote these questions probably around August or September of last year. So I obviously don't remember. How do you typically express your feelings? How can you do so while exercising care and understanding that the emotions are not yet entirely rational? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this loaded question that I just wrote here. I think what I'm trying to convey in a question like that is the scientific truth that when we are in our survival brain, which if you're a survivor, it happens way too often. We go into fight, we go into flight, we go into freeze, right? Like or we flee, right? That's the other one. I was like, what's the other one? There's another one. What I'm trying to say is there's a difference between sitting with your emotions and sitting rationalize your emotions. And I feel like there's a lot of realization that happens on a coaching session, for example, where you, the client, would word vomit all that's in your head. And then the coach, myself, would, with your permission, take the time to unpack everything that's been said, right? And with that unpacking comes a lot of rationalizing. Why do you think that is? Or what is it about this that makes you feel like that? Or what is it about this one thing you mentioned that gives you the impression of this one thing you other mentioned, right? So there's a lot of rationalization happening. But rationalizing your feelings is not the same as just sitting there in full openness and acceptance of the fact that you're feeling this right now. Sorry, there's a bug flying around. I don't even know what kind of bug it is, but it's in my face, so I was trying to get it, but I didn't. Anyway, there's a difference between rationalizing and sitting with your feelings. And so we are starting the week with a moon that is very emotional. And then, of course, I'm bringing emotions again on a full moon, because when the moon is full, it's literally opposite the sun. This is why there's light being shed on the surface of the moon. And I've shared here how these transits differ from one another. And a square, right in front of each other is not very positive. It's one of those oppositional transits. I said square, I meant opposition. It is an oppositional transit. It means, the sun is going to be shedding light on your emotional scum so that you do something about it, or so that you grow from it. I feel like sometimes things come up in my heart and in my head so that I can remind myself there's that trust. Remind myself that, no, I've already worked on you. There's Is there something new you have to teach me? Because if not, I've already done this work. You're just coming up because of the astrology. You're not coming up because there's something new for me to see. And I need self trust to be able to look at what's coming up and to be able to look at what's in front of me and discern that this is needed in my life right now. And there's a lesson there for me. Or this is just a flashback and I can move on from it. Moving on, what's next? So that's for you to discern. Understanding that the emotions are not yet entirely rational. I hope that this question gives you permission to just be with your feelings and not have to rationalize them all. How can you do so? How can you express your feelings while you exercise care, meaning how are you taking care of yourself, and while you understand that your emotions don't need to be rational? So don't cast a judgment on whether or not this makes sense, or whether or not you're right, or whether or not it was your fault, right? That's the difference between putting a label on everything and just being with everything, which can probably feel a lot more intense, but it's all just part of the process. I didn't know until I allowed myself to really sit and cry. So I'm talking about 30 plus years of me not giving myself permission to fully cry the way that I felt like I wanted to. And so once I start giving myself permission to do that, I realize that crying is part of that spiritual cleanse, literally, right? Not just metaphorically, because there's tears, so there's water, right? And so whatever comes up this week, whatever comes up in the next month during Pisces season, I hope it is cleansing and purifying, and that it allows us to just bring whatever spring and the new year has for us into a clean vessel, because you've given your chance and yourself, because you've given yourself the chance and the permission to feel and cry. And now, if you don't cry, which we all do, even if it's in private, and you're going to express your emotions in a different way, then please remember not to harm anyone, harm to none, and take care of yourself, right? Take care of your hands. Don't be punching walls. It's just not worth it, right? All right, question number 2. Reflect on how you currently balance your daily routines with your spiritual well-being. Are there any adjustments you need to make to find greater harmony in this regard? Now, this question sounds very Libra. I don't remember where Libra is this week. It's obviously not in the moon, although on Monday it goes into Libra, right? But I do know that Virgo is the perfectionist. Virgo will bring up so many insecurities. If you're a Virgo rising, then this is why you're a perfectionist, and this is why you feel like everything you do is wrong. And I've always been very mediocre. I've always been kind of like, yeah, that looks okay. Okay, moving on to the next thing, like super chill about things, right? I say mediocre, but I feel like that word was a judgment from someone else that I just kind of like went with, because I wouldn't call myself mediocre, right? But anyway, that Virgo rising is the police that says you could do it better, or oh my gosh, this looks nothing like the picture, like, just throw it out. And so how can I make adjustments to just flow a little bit better if perfectionism is getting in the way? First of all, I would recommend Happy Not Perfect by Poppy Jamie. But I would also recommend giving yourself permission to play. I posted on my TikTok this weekend about giving myself permission to play with a dress. I've never dyed any fabrics before. I did it wrong the first time. Then I kind of fixed it. It's still not the color I want. And at this point, I've decided to just not mess with the dress anymore and keep it as is. But my perfectionist rising Virgo looked at the dress and said, donated, it's not good enough. And then I had to look at the dress with my Cancer moon heart and say, no, it's precious. I did it. And I'm going to keep it and wear it. So some food for thought. Now, let's look at the affirmation for the full moon, and then we'll dive into our meditation, which, to be honest, I don't feel like I'm relaxed at all because this has been a lot and I have not shut up for the past 52 minutes. But I do always look forward to those meditations. So let's get to it after this affirmation. Listen to this. I found I find balance between my practical daily routines and my spiritual well-being. I am open to the guidance of my intuition, that's Pisces season, as I navigate this balance. I understand that my feelings may not be entirely rational yet, and I embrace this release, meaning the full moon release, as a step towards emotional clarity and self discovery. I wonder what things you will discover in the next 4 weeks. We will be keeping track of all of it. As always, the book offers you a spot for you to journal and paint. If you don't want to get the book, but you would like to receive a PDF of every month to month, then comment or get to DM me in social media because all of that is available and I can send it your way. So, what do you think? That was a lot. That was a lot. And it's because Pisces season can be a lot and it can be say stressful, but I feel like stressful is more of a I don't know, Scorpio season type of vibe or Capricorn. But Pisces is just more, the symbol for Pisces is the two fish, and it can represent whatever duality, right? Duality in general. So feminine and masculine, physical and spiritual, black and white, yin and yang, good or bad, right or wrong, so on and so forth. And they both create a balance, obviously. And so if you're standing on one side, what is Pisces going to show you? The other side. And if you're standing on that other side, what's Pisces going to show you? This side over here. So all of that to say, your vision changes when you shift positions, and everything changes when you change your mind. And things really become true when you believe them. And things become something of the past when you leave them behind. So, more food for thought. Oh my gosh, it just keeps coming. I'm done. Okay, let's do this meditation. I love you all. Thank you so much for following, subscribing, and for listening to my rants about astrology and all the things happening. It just brings me so much joy. It gives me, it's not purpose. It gives me a direction with my own personal studies, because now I'm not just trying to look at the moon and where the moon is or where the astrology is every day the way I always did. But now I think of the people in my life like you, and I think of clients, and I think of followers and the people that connect with me and give me details of their life. And I find all of you in all that's happening, right? Because the astrology applies to all. And it just gives me a little bit more to work with. Because to be honest, my life over here is not that eventful, right? It's pretty much consumed by a 4 soon to be 5-year-old prince who takes all of my time, and I give it to him gladly. So I just want to say thank you for encouraging this journey. Those of you very close to me, like Peter or Adam, know how many times I've wanted to quit and how many times I've thought to myself that showing up was just not worth it. But at the same time, people like Peter, Adam, Angela, all of you that show up constantly, April, Rowena, it is because of you and your encouragement that I continue to do the homework and show up and write the book and so on and so forth. So thank you, because I owe you so much more than you could even imagine. A debt of gratitude for sure, right? So just thank you for that. As always, the music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM. It is an app or a website where you get to hear music that is tailored for your brain to do what you want it to do. So you can either focus, relax, sleep, or meditate. We're going to go to meditate. You can choose unguided or guided. We're going to choose unguided, and there we are. we get some chimes and bowls. That's the preferred genre for this, but my preferred personal genre for meditating or sleep is underwater. Oh, just you really feel like you're just in the depths of the sea and there's bubbles and it's just amazing. So check out Brain FM. There's a free trial in the link in the bio. Now, aside from that, if you are able and willing, please lay down, please lay back, relax. If you're able to lay down, that's even better, because then you'll be able to really fill your belly, right, with the air. When you're sitting up like myself, your core is already engaged, so a full belly breath is almost not possible. But just if you're sitting down like me, just breathe in as much as you can and fill your lungs. We're going to do some breathing and just some relaxation and some affirmations to take over this week. So with me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep, deep, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out through your mouth. Nice and long, extended breath until you have no air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again through your nose. Deep, fill your lungs with air. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out. Exhale through your mouth. Long, extended exhale all the way. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And relax. And as you relax, and as you witness how your whole body loosens and pauses and weighs down as you fall into this relaxation. And notice how you slowly breathe, nice and steady, so slow you don't even feel the air. And as you join me in this moment, eyes open or closed, I want you to envision a beautiful field covered in snow. Everything is bright because everything is white. And the waxing, growing moon is so beautiful. It illuminates everything on your line of sight. You are not lost on this field. And as you witness the beautiful landscape in front of you, and this gorgeous moon slowly growing into fullness, I want you to place your hand in your heart and remind yourself that you have come so far. You have done much. You have loved much. You have lost so much. And now, life shows up like a blank canvas in front of you, ready for you to ignite the fire of what comes next. Ready for you to Release what is weighing you down so that you can fast forward without that dead weight into what's next. And you ask yourself, it's not how is my life going to change from now on? It's how am I going to change my life? What steps do I need to take in order to change everything? What choices do I need to confront in order for things to change? And as you ask yourself these questions, pay attention to the first things that come up. Whether it was a person in your life, whether it was a feeling, whether it's a job, a situation. What is begging you in an energetic way to be done with it? What loose ends do you need to tie so that you can move forward? And as you envision yourself in this field covered in snow with this beautiful growing moon, and more inspiration sets in, and more emotions arise, I want you to again remind yourself, I have come so far. So what that tells me is that I have so far yet to go. Am I going to do it gladly? Or am I going to do it hurt, traumatized? Am I going to go forward still a mess? Or am I going to take care of me so that I can ensure that whatever happens, I was an active participant. And for better or worse, I made it happen. With me, take one last breath in through your nose. We're going to do another one, so don't worry. One deep breath in through your nose. Deep breath in, deep, deep, deep. Fill your lungs. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and release nice and slow through your mouth. Long, extended breath out. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again through your nose. Long, deep breath in. Deep, deep, deep. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale nice and slow through your mouth. Long, extended breath out. And as you relax into your exhale, remember these affirmations. I am safe. I am loved. I am guided and protected. I embrace the nurturing energy of my emotions. I am supported by the loving embrace of the universe. And I trust that I am guided toward my higher purpose. I find balance between my practical daily routines and my spiritual well-being. I am open to the guidance of my intuition as I navigate this balance. I embrace this release as a step towards emotional clarity and self discovery. With me, take one last breath in through your nose. Deep, long breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow. Long, extended breath out. And as you relax into this exhale, bring your attention to your body, into this moment. Wiggle your toes and open your eyes and come back to me. And that concludes our time together. I'm so grateful for you. An hour and 5 minutes to discuss all of this. I'm surprised I didn't take an hour and a half. I hope that it all made sense. A lot of what I discuss here is definitely downloads that just I don't plan on talking about and then they happen. I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, it leaves a lot of room for like the uncertainty of what am I going to say this day? Or, excuse me. Or like, I hope that makes sense. Right. So thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for being here and for engaging. And I'm always so grateful for you and your friendship and your advice and your creative consulting, if we can call it that, maybe. Yes. So thank you again. If you're watching the replay, please let us know where you're from. And when I say us, I mean me and Peter and anyone else who would like to know. Follow me on Instagram at song of myself songofmyself.ig. Sorry. TikTok, somecoaching.tt, and Twitter, even though I'm not active there as I used to be, at somecoaching. As always, you can book a free call in the link in the bio or in my website, so on and so forth. I love you all so much. And I'm excited to discuss the things that start unraveling in the next few weeks, but very excited to look forward to the spring, right? And to consider that a fresh new year where we get to kind of think ahead and plan ahead. So if you're feeling like you're rotting this month, just know that before there's new life, has to rot. So I love you all, and I will see you next Moon Day.